On today's podcast, we sit down with renowned tour professional and founder of Ternwheel, Ashanti Abdullah. For over 2 decades, Ashanti has toured with some of the biggest artists in the world, and today he pulls back the curtain on the hidden challenges of touring, the costly mistakes most artists make on the road, and the game-changing tools that are revolutionizing the live music business. We discuss the shocking reasons even major acts sometimes go home broke, the essential business mindset every artist needs, and the innovative ways Ternwheel is making touring more profitable and sustainable for everyone. If you care about success in the modern music industry, this is one episode that is a must listen. Insiders, are you ready?
Welcome to MUBUTV's Music Business Insider Podcast, where our mission is to educate, empower, and engage artists and music business professionals who are dedicated to having a successful career in the new music industry. Here are your hosts, Rich Ezra and Eric Knight.
Welcome back, Insiders, to another episode of the MUBUTV Music Business Insider Podcast, where our mission is to educate, empower, and engage your music career. On today's episode, we welcome touring veteran and entrepreneur Ashanti Abdullah, founder of Ternwheel, the cutting-edge profitability platform that's changing the game for live touring. In this raw and insightful interview, Ashanti shares his decades of firsthand experience working with some of the biggest artists in the music industry and reveals the real hidden costs and common mistakes that can make or break a touring artist's career. We dive deep into how Ternwheel is setting a new standard for artists, managers, agents, and crews, streamlining communication, boosting profitability, and making success more accessible for everyone on the road, from independent artists to massive touring productions. Ashanti also opens up about the importance of resilience, the changing landscape of the music business, and why thinking like a CEO is crucial for any artist who wants to survive and thrive in the modern music industry. Whether you're an artist just starting out or a tour manager running major shows, there are insights here you won't hear anywhere else. And trust us, you're going to want to stay tuned to the end. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Hey, Insiders! Are you an aspiring musician, artist, band, or future music business professional looking to take your career to the next level? Well, look no further. At MUBUTV, we offer personalized career counseling and coaching designed specifically for folks like you.
Imagine having both of us by your side, guiding you through every step of your music journey. Our sessions are tailored to meet your unique needs, focusing on critical aspects of your music career, such as refining your songs, defining your artist story, identifying your target audience, and enhancing your social media presence, just to name a few.
Whether you're just starting out or looking to elevate your existing career, we've got you covered. Our comprehensive approach ensures you get insights on everything from live shows to branding and marketing strategies. We understand that every artist is unique. That's why our coaching is personalized just for you.
And here's the best part. We offer flexible coaching packages that fit any budget. Choose from individual sessions ranging from 30 to 90 minutes, or save with our discounted 4-session packages. Experience custom sessions designed to enhance your music career with opportunities for greater savings when you choose bundled sessions. Investing in your musical journey has never been more accessible.
Imagine the clarity and direction you'll gain after just one session. The feedback on your songs, the strategies to grow your audience, and the confidence to perform live, all tailored just for you.
So why wait? Don't let uncertainty hold you back. Join us for your free 15-minute discovery call at book.mubutv.com for a transformative coaching experience that will elevate your music career. That's book.mubutv.com.
Hi, this is Viv Mellish, founding partner and CMO at Gyro Group and president at Q Music, Queensland, Australia, and you're listening to the MUBUTV Music Business Insider Podcast.
Welcome back, Insiders. Today's featured guest is Ashanti Abdullah, founder and CEO of Ternwheel, which is a revolutionary new touring platform that really helps you plan and to get organized with regards to a lot of very, very interesting factions in the touring world. I thought this was a fascinating conversation, Eric, for one main reason. Touring is essential in terms of artists making money.
It's the lifeblood.
Exactly. It's the lifeblood. And what most people don't realize is that it's also the lifeblood of other income sources.
Right.
That's the part that's interesting. It's not just in and of itself. It's the income source for performances. It's also the income source for merch.
Right.
It's also the income source for sponsorship. You can't get those things unless you are touring.
It's one big wheel, and I guess that's why he calls it Ternwheel.
Exactly.
And one of the several spokes from part of that wheel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very well put. And, one of the most important things that I thought that was very revealing that a lot of people don't think about was that when he spoke about, like what we just spoke about with regards to the money-making aspect of it, or the, importance of the financial commitment, that the greatest threat to tour profitability is poor planning, incorrect routing.
Right.
Which really, in this day and age, racks up enormous costs in gas. Hotel choices, the difference between a $200 a night or a $98 a night.
Or how far away that you are from a hotel and a venue, which is one of the cardinal mistakes that a lot of people make is, you want to have that hotel venue as close to the venue as possible.
Absolutely. And other mismanaged, logics that can destroy profits, even for major acts. I remember years ago, the press made a big thing about, Fleetwood Mac when they went out on I think it was the Mirage tour, which was the first thing they did after Tusk in the early 80s. I mean, it was like a 9-10 month tour. And the press made a very big thing about the fact that they came off the road after a 9-month tour with no money.
Right.
No money at all.
Right.
Literally no money. And it was like, that is never happening again.
Right.
They just weren't watching the expenses. They were spending exorbitant amounts of money on everything they earned. So when it was done, it was like, okay, well, that was fun. There's no money.
There's no money.
But because you spent it all along the way.
Right.
And this is what happens even on a small level.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I loved about what Ashanti talked about, what you guys are going to be listening to now, was the hidden costs like overspending, continuing on what you were, on that thread, hidden costs like overspending on transportation, accommodations, and meals add up quickly. And efficiency and pre-tour awareness are vital for positive cash flow. So, this is kind of like tagging on to what you were saying, Rich, about how important, how those expenses will creep up on you in a New York second, in terms of you don't realize, especially when you're dealing with these bigger tours that have massive crews, you have to be watching every expense. But even at the lower beginning level, you have to be watching. Yes, you have to be watching when you're not going to be probably making money. You'll be lucky to even break even. So that's, it's exciting because I think this interview is going to really turn a lot of our insiders on to, especially those that are active and touring right now, to the idea of this really innovative software, which I think is going to change the game, which I think it already is beginning to change the game.
Absolutely, it is. It's a crucial, important element to any artist's career.
And with that, insiders, sit back and relax and enjoy our featured conversation with Ashanti Abdullah.
Ashanti, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I want to start this conversation off. For 2 decades, you have toured with some of the biggest artists in the world. And so my question is, what was the breaking point or inspiration that made you say there has to be a better way to do this? And thus, Ternwheel was born.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. That's what it was. It was the breaking point. Yeah. So, doing a bunch of work, being in it hands-on every single day, grinding. I thought to myself, it's unbelievable that there isn't a tool for this specific thing, but also just in the music industry in general. The fact that it was so disjointed and people are using their own tools and things of that nature, that's really what got the idea sparked to me, and I decided to go after it.
Ashanti, thank you so much for joining us. So glad to have you on the show. I wanted to ask you, touring is often seen as the most profitable part of an artist's career, yet you highlight the financial struggles that many of them face on the road. What are the hidden inefficiencies that most people don't see?
Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest thing is planning wrong. That's like step one, right? I think a lot of people, when they get into it and they want to get out there, they get a couple of guarantees, they're ready to go, they get on the road, and they don't realize the actual cost of this thing. Anywhere from booking the wrong hotels to routing the wrong way, so you're driving the wrong way and you're spending more gas. I mean, all these things really are a big deal to your bottom line. So efficiency is huge, and being able to see all that and understand that before you go out, that's really where we're at.
In listening to you, it's funny. I mean, I remember over the years hearing how certain giant acts, I remember once famously Fleetwood Mac did a tour in the early 80s, and it was an 8-9 month tour. And the press made a big thing how they came off the road and they didn't make any money. And it was like, how is that possible? Yeah. And then they started, Mick Fleetwood started to talk in the interview about how it was possible, the amount of money they were spending as a result of what they were bringing. I mean, all of them, with the amount of hotels they were staying, the routing, everybody had to have, they couldn't all go to the show in 1 or 2 cars. They had to have 5 cars. It's, all those expenses.
I think people don't really think about people that you go to a show, you're showing up, you're having a great time, you're having some drinks, whatever you're doing, you're enjoying yourself. No one really realizes the delicate ballet that has to happen in order for that one show to happen. So imagine if you're doing 9, right? I mean, how many times is someone, when you're younger, you've gotten to the end of the month and you're like, oh crap, I don't have enough money to pay rent. Well, just imagine being on tour. You have to do that every single night, right? And yes, overspending happens all the time. I mean, that's where the fight is with the tour manager or a manager with an artist saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't take 5 cars. Maybe you should take 1, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. No, precisely. But, one of the things that was interesting about your answer is the deeper elements of, not planning the routing correctly, spending too much money on gas, choosing the wrong place to stay,
right?
Which could be a 30 or 40% difference in cost.
Yeah.
Little things like that, what you choose to eat, all of these
Absolutely.
kinds of things, and probably 100 more that we're not even thinking of that really make a difference. I wanted to ask you, Ashanti, Ternwheel is described as the world's first profitability platform for live touring. Number one, what exactly does that mean? And how does it differ from traditional tour management tools or spreadsheets?
Yeah. So really what we're doing here is we're taking, what we're doing is we're taking the logistics part of it. We're taking the communication part of it. We're taking the budgeting part of it. We're taking the spending part of it, and we're putting it all in one place, right? So you're getting a dashboard to your tour. What does it mean on the profitability side? For instance, we have a user who's using it now who just hit me up. And if you look on the website, you'll see some of his information on there. They just hit me up and he said, dude, I saved 21% on the last tour just from being able to understand before I go out exactly how I should spend my money and being able to watch every single day. The way that tools worked prior to Ternwheel, where you set a budget, you went out and you spent, and you came back and then you figured it out. However, with Ternwheel, you set a budget and you actually do it while you're on the road. It's settling as you're going, right? So that's you have the information given to you while you're out that tells you, okay, wait, maybe we should rebook these hotels for the next 5 nights and actually stay somewhere a little bit cheaper to make sure we're actually managing to our budget.
So you can adjust as you go and be very nimble with all of that. Correct. And be very fluid.
Absolutely.
Wow, great. So
we're all about profitability. The reason why we want artists to be able to do this for a long time. You can't, you just said it in the beginning of this. When you start this, this is where the money's at, right? You can't, selling albums isn't really where the money's at anymore. This is where the money's at. We get 8% new artists coming in every single year. New people coming in, and some people crash out right away because they went out and didn't have a successful tour. Well, I'm trying to make sure everyone has a successful tour. We want the people that create this art to be able to continue to do it.
Let me ask you, Ashanti, you're building Ternwheel not just as a product, but as a standard for how artists and teams operate on tour. What elements do you believe are essential to that standard?
Yeah, look, the biggest thing for me is if everyone's on the same page, that's a massive game changer. Imagine how many, imagine how much miscommunication, how many things don't happen, how many times someone showed up and that guitar that was, supposed to be there isn't there, or whatever the case is. Imagine if everyone showed up the same way every single time. That blows my mind. I make jokes about the crunchy old sound man, but the crunchy old sound man gets happy because he knows that these people are showing up the same way every time. The inefficiencies knocked down, people save money, people save time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, I would imagine in listening to your answer just now, you probably have seen efficiencies and you have seen developments and advancements, in touring from when you started in that profession to now. Can you talk about some of those that you've personally witnessed since you were on the front lines of that?
Yeah. So, so what's funny is what has made Ternwheel so tech forward is the fact that some of the little pieces of tech that didn't exist years ago exist now, right? So we're able to use some of those pieces of tech to make this one big piece of tech. But Google Calendars wasn't around when we first started. Imagine when we first started, everything was written down, first of all, and you carried a tour book with you,
right?
When you were a tour manager, and everything was written down, and that's how you knew what to do. Even Google Maps didn't exist, right? So the ability to know what's around you, where to get coffee, things of that nature. All these little tools have evolved, and it's pretty amazing to see where the tech has gotten. But yeah, we just wanted to take it to the next level, basically.
And one thing that you didn't mention, which I think is another game changer in the touring business, cell phones didn't exist.
Oh yeah,
back in the early days. I mean, that was, you had to know. I mean, I remember talking to certain tour managers, and they had to like that tour book you're talking about. It had to have the backstage number of every single venue.
Right.
It had to have the office of every single one.
There.
Yeah. The ability to communicate with each other. Just
and those itinerary books better be accurate.
Yes,
better be accurate, because how many? Yeah, imagine how many things were just completely screwed up from not even making it to the right place. Wrong venue.
No, exactly.
Total spinal tap.
Very much so. So, on that, I wanted to ask you, how does Ternwheel streamline communication between artists, managers, agents, and production teams, all of whom operate in their own silos?
Yeah, exactly. So the way that it works is it's real simple. All of these people get their own logins, right? So an agent goes and logs in, and instead of sending over a spreadsheet and or an email with, hey, this is the routing I'm thinking about, they just send it over. It's literally a click and bang, and it's sent over to the manager. Manager gets to say, hey, I like this or I don't like this. Once that's done, they click a button and it gets sent over to the tour manager. Tour manager puts their information in. He clicks the button and boom, everyone has it. It's super simple. And then while you're inside of the app, we've also got a chat function that serves quite a few different functions. You can put, let's say you want to just put the sound group on there, front of house and monitors or whoever. You can put them all on one channel, put the group on another channel. So you can take back your phone, right? Your actual phone you can use as talking to your family, and that's it, right? All of the things you need to do for music are done for this tour or done inside of this app.
That's incredible. So it's almost like an internal Google chat that you can have, but you're staying within the platform, so you don't have to jump to 30 different tools. Yeah,
exactly. And everything you need to share in there, tech packs, all that stuff, that's all in one place.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's and I assume you have this for iOS and for Android.
Both of them ready to go. Whatever you got, we got you.
That's amazing. I wanted to ask you, since launching in 2022, have you heard from artists or tour managers on how Ternwheel has directly improved their bottom line from day-to-day operations? I know you mentioned it with the one artist or the one person that's using the app right now, but do you have any other examples?
Yeah, we have quite a few, actually. That's just one that we're really close to. We do surveys, and we put them out usually about once a month. And we have heard back just from a few different, a little bit smaller ones, that they didn't expect that they could make any money. So they had the ability to make some money and come home in the positive, knowing that they could make these, or being able to make these changes while they were out on the road. This is, like I said, this is the main point of this. Number one point is to make sure that people are actually making money. We want the 99% to be able to tour like the 1%. We want them to be able to have those tools right in front of them. Now, this thing can work for anybody, right? We do have an artist that has 214 people that he tours with. So it can work for that large size. We did build it for that, but we really wanted to scale down for these younger or newer artists, for them to be able to tour and make money just like anyone who's in that 1%.
Hey, insiders, we hope that you've been enjoying our featured conversation. Stay tuned, because we've got so much value coming your way. But before we dive back in, a word from our sponsor.
Hey, Eric, as an artist, what do you find are the most challenging aspects to a music career, especially when you're starting out?
Well, I think one of the first things is just trying to get the direction of who you are as an artist, where you want to go, where you want to be. And, we've talked about it on the show a lot. Who is your target audience? Who you are? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What do you think would resonate with an audience? And so those are some of the things that I would feel being a new artist. Obviously, what I know now is different because I know these things, but for people that are out there like our audience that don't have necessarily any direction to go, would be the first things that I would start off with.
And having the songs that incorporate those elements that you're speaking of into it. That's so important today.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why we started MUBUTV and why we started this new consulting service that we're offering to all of our insiders out there, because that is another one of the big things. I mean, that is the big thing, is like having the great songs. That's what it really starts off. Our friend Don Grierson always said, it always starts with
a great song. So that's probably, besides putting together what your audience and what your target audience is the single most important thing. Where are your songs at currently today? Are you collaborating with people? Are you trying to go out to networking events where you can connect with other songwriters and stuff like that? So
yeah, and what are your strengths?
Exactly.
You know, are you a strong lyric writer? Are you a strong melody writer? Are you a strong musician, a player?
Right.
You know, and it's really important to get really strong clarity on those issues before proceeding.
I totally agree, Rich. And, you know, with our consulting services, we offer a myriad of different packages and we've made it super affordable for everybody. So, you know, if you guys are interested out there in connecting with us on a coaching call, you can visit book.mubutv.com and start off with a free 15-minute discovery call.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That we start with an initial 15-minute call where we can get a sense of who you are, what are the issues that you specifically have, right, and want to work on.
Exactly.
And we can go from there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we tailor everything to your needs. It's not like a cookie cutter thing. We kind of really want to get to know who you are as an artist, where you at today, what's the snapshot of you as an artist today, and then start trying to craft something that's tailor-made for you. So again, if you're interested, visit us at book.mubutv.com for your 15-minute discovery call.
Hi, this is Tyler Henry, founder and CEO at Sturdy and managing partner at Range Media. Are you an insider? I am. Subscribe now.
No, that makes total sense because, as you know, we're heading into a world where that audience is going to far outnumber the gigantic, 216
Absolutely.
person. Yeah. And it's very much, the world that we're in today, both from a recording side and from a touring side. It's an interesting point. Let me ask you, Ashanti, in a world where timing is everything, what are the most common, I guess, what you'd call small mistakes on tour that lead to big losses, and how does Ternwheel address those or prevent them?
Yeah, I think we kind of alluded to it earlier, but the biggest one is budgeting wrong. That's one of the biggest ones, and that could be a small thing, or just when you get into those specific line items, just miscalculating what those actually should be. So obviously, like everyone else, we actually are utilizing AI in order to help us out. A nice little beautiful LLM that we built, and inside of the system, when you go into budget, when you've done a tour or two, or actually it's up to 3 tours, what the system will do is start to figure out what you do and figure out how you move and how many people you have on your team, so on and so forth. And it'll start to tell you what you should be looking at as far as expenses go. Wow. So to give you a little bit better of a picture before you head out. Now you can make changes to that as you see fit. You may know things that the system doesn't know, but ultimately it's going to give you a general idea of what that should cost you.
That is amazing.
Interesting. Let me ask you, as a follow-up to that, are there, I guess, case studies or information on previous clients that you have had that could be maybe not identifying them specifically, but perhaps the elements that they need, that perhaps this new client needs to be working on, that you could perhaps recommend to this new client that's using the service? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, can it gather like, so-and-so last year did this really interesting thing, and we can now incorporate that into, that's something that we hadn't thought of, or that's something that's really useful for electronic acts or for whatever.
Oh yeah, that happens. This is, you guys are going to crack up at this, but I believe in founder-led sales. Okay. We have a nice, decent sized team that does all the other work, but I am the salesperson here. So what does that mean? That means I talk to everybody. I'm always available. You can call me. You can, hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. So who do you think all that stuff comes to? It comes right to me. So we get quite a bit of even so really, we actually launched last year. The company started in 2022, but we launched last year at South by Southwest and are really picking up steam with users this year. It's been really fun. But one thing with me being in that feedback loop and it being very quick to get back to me, we've been able to incorporate things pretty quickly. There's been quite a few things, actually. Try to think of, prior to just actually within the last few weeks, we have one artist that he doesn't have a tour manager. He's actually a decent sized artist. He's doing 1,000 cap size rooms, doesn't have a tour manager, doesn't have a manager. He manages it all on his own with the exception of having an agent. So for him, the ability to be able to actually send the guest list or do a lot of the functions that you would do on your computer, to be able to do that from your phone, that's one of the big ways that we've actually changed that on that side, for the bigger side of things. But there's a few things we've looked at too. one of the things that's been the key thing since we started this, and it's the big kahuna for us, or what we would call our alpha, is we will be offering bank accounts. So in 4 months from now, you'll be able to actually, when you sign up to get an account, you'll be able to set up a bank account, and you'll be able to actually get your deposits through there, kick money out to your agent if you need to. You'll be able to spend against that bank account, and that will automatically marry up to your budget. Also, for the people that are on the road with you, you can issue them cards, digital cards. If they need to spend, great. If not, if you want to pay them that way, you can. You can also give them their per diems through there as well.
That's incredible. And I'm assuming too, with artists too, they're coming to you with custom things or whatnot, and you guys can customize things for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a couple of different teams right now out of Australia that they're big management firms that need a lot of custom work to be able to work specifically. And yes, we can pretty much do anything these days, with the exception of turn wine into water.
Wow. So you can almost like white label stuff for them too, I would assume.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, that's amazing. Let me ask you, Ashanti, Ternwheel's mission is about making touring more accessible and equitable. What does that look like in practice for mid-tier or independent artists trying to scale up?
Yeah, I mean, look, once again, it just comes back to the money. I mean, they have to be able to make money in order to continue to tour, right?
Right.
So really figuring out I shouldn't say the cheapest, but the most functional way for them to tour, to be able to get home and have some money in their pocket to be able to do it again. That's the bottom line. I don't think a lot of people don't understand how the business works. A lot of people think, why is Beyonce charging $2,000 for her tickets? Well, they don't realize, it doesn't work like that. There's a promoter in each city that pays Beyonce a specific amount of money for every single show she does. And that's a business that she then gets that income, and she has to spend some of that income to make that show actually happen.
Right.
So a lot of people don't realize she's bringing in the screens. She's bringing in the staging. She's bringing in all of that stuff. That's not something that a venue just sets up for her. So ultimately, like, being able to really help not only the middle class, we call them the middle class artists, not only the blue collar artists is what we call them. Not only being able to help them really like maximize their profit, but being able to help the young people as they start to come in, understand that they do need to do that in order for it to be sustainable. It's not a party right away. I've had a situation where I was out with a young man who was touring with another young man, and the other young man was in a bus playing 1,000 cap rooms with 300 people showing up. And I was like, hey, bud, I don't think you should be in a bus. That's 20 grand. You should probably be in a van, and you should be probably playing 300 cap rooms. Like these types of things, when you can see this stuff in front of you, it tells you right away that there's an issue. Waiting until after the tour and then somebody says, hey, that was stupid.
Right. The numbers don't lie. Yeah. So yeah. And for those that don't know what you were referring to when Beyonce, that's the guarantee for those that don't know, that get that in advance.
Ashanti, you have said that Ternwheel is more than a platform. It's a movement. So I guess my question is, what does success look like 5 years from now? Not just for the company, but for the culture of touring itself. I know that's a big question, but someone with your background and experience, I think our audience would be very interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, ultimately, I really think that it's sustaining touring. I want touring to be able to I want people to be able to go see shows and to see all their favorite artists for as long as they possibly can. So these people being able to sustain themselves and sustain the careers of all the people around them. I don't think that people realize, like I said, I know an artist that goes out with 214 people. That's staff. That's everyone gets paid, right? I want this business to stay as viable as it always has been. We saw technology kind of change how we buy music or consume music. But going out and physically being out there to see shows, that's just something that's magical, right? And I want that to stay exactly. That's what I envision for this to be. More people, more artists, and more creators being able to do this day in and day out.
Ashanti, I wanted to ask you, throughout your life, have there been any books or films that you have found to be particularly inspiring, professionally speaking, that you could recommend to our audience?
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. They're sitting in a different spot. The books, but I could read them out to you. Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few. It's funny because this is not connected to music at all, but the autobiography of Malcolm X was probably one of the most powerful things I ever read. And a lot of that has to just do with resilience and really pushing forward, and no matter what happens, continuing on the path that you continue to go on. But I mean, ultimately, I think setting a vision, setting goals, and then setting your ways of getting there, that's the most important thing to me, and never stopping. That's where we're at.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So many people. Last year we interviewed Clive Davis, and when we asked that question, he used the exact phrase you did about resilience. In his own career, that he felt that people getting into this business, that one of the great non-creative qualities that you need, beyond talent or whatever, is you need to be resilient. You need to know that this is the long haul. This is not we're going to do this and it's all going to happen in a year. And if it doesn't, well, I'll go drive a truck. You need to be resilient and, build.
People aren't going to, they're not, when you first start doing anything, as if when I first started this business, everyone thought it was crazy, right? No one's going to understand it until they can actually tangibly see it or feel it, right? And then you get the people come along with you. So either way, you have to believe that it's going to be what it is. No one else is going to believe that for you.
As someone who has worked with artists up close and personal, what do you feel holds artists back from success in their careers?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. The ones that end up held back are the ones that cannot see the bigger picture. And then that's kind of a general statement, but I think the biggest ones are not realizing how connected to their business that they have to be. So a lot of artists think, there's other people that do that. But ultimately, and that's great, you can do all the creating of the art and you can totally understand that. And there should be people that help you with that or help you with the business side of things. But ultimately, you need to be making those decisions and you need to be just as involved as anyone else is in what's going on with that. You are the CEO of the company. At the end of the day, you're the CEO of your brand. Now, these other people are here to help you. They're here to help you live out your dreams and your vision, but it's your vision and you need to see that through. And that all of those little things matter. How you treat people, all those things matter. And so I think the biggest thing that I see people get in people's way is that they're just not as connected to their brand as they should be.
I totally agree. Let me ask you, Ashanti, what is your advice for artists who are committed to building a music career for themselves in today's dramatically shifting marketplace?
Resilience, being smart with on the business side, and really being around people and working with people who are just as smart, if not smarter than you on the business side, and learning from them. And continually open mind. But resilience is a big thing, just never stopping and never giving up.
Ashanti, how can people reach you? Is it through your website or through socials? What's the best way?
Yeah, the best way is just to go to www.ternwheel.com, and it's TERN wheel.com. We got a 14-day free trial for anyone who wants to give it a try. So you got nothing to lose. Get on there, mess around with it, poke around, give it a try. If you've got questions, you can just hit up info@ternwheel.com. That'll probably get directed to me at some point and we'll have a chat.
Sounds fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah,
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show. It was amazing. I mean, I want to even go and check this out for myself, which is really great. So I'm very excited for the future of Ternwheel.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. This has been actually a wonderful interview. Amazing questions. I would love to come back anytime.
Absolutely. And we want to thank you so much for coming on and discussing this. The whole purpose of MUBUTV is to bring education and to educate artists about the reality, like you put it perfectly, about becoming involved in their business, that if this is to be their career, that the tools and the opportunities to learn are out there. So we thank you for helping to fulfill on that mission. We're very, very grateful to you.
I appreciate you guys being here to throw these beautiful things out into the ethos.
Thank you, man. That and just, Eric, this is so needed.
Yeah.
This is a tool that is so needed.
Today, right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, this was a fascinating conversation on many levels because he's talking from 20 years of experience, bringing this down to not only major tours and major tools that can help these people, but also for new people who are beginning.
Right.
To start in a consciousness of watching costs.
Exactly.
Planning. What's that famous expression, if you plan to fail, you fail.
If you
fail to plan,
if you plan to fail, you'll fail to plan. Or
it basically comes down to if you don't plan and think these things out, you will fail.
Yeah.
And touring today is expensive.
Right.
Even if you have fan bases,
especially today in this environment that we're in with the
Yes.
cost and the inflation and everything and all the stuff that we're hearing with tariffs and how that's affecting everything.
Oh yeah. Well, this is a whole other conversation, but
right.
it's massively affecting touring.
Exactly.
gear. Yeah. So this is a very, very important one. I mean, I love when he said, we're really doing it here. What we're talking about is the logistics part of it, the communication part of it, the budgeting part of it. And he said, when we're putting that all in one place, which is so helpful. So many people basically, over the years develop their own systems.
Right.
You talk to tour managers and they would be like, I invented this piece of software or I did this for my people.
Right.
It became easier and easier I remember one tour manager talking about, when they invented the cell phone,
right?
How exciting that was.
Well, yeah.
Because before it was like you had to have every backstage number.
Right.
Every hotel.
With those itineraries, which they still have
in the books.
Yeah, in the books, right.
That had the number.
Right.
But reaching people was not an instantaneous thing.
Well, you'd have to get off and put on a payphone.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And,
and you better hope that they answer that phone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just getting messages to people on those giant tours, it was very, very difficult. So that was an interesting part because I think that was foundational in what Ashanti created.
Yeah. Also, what I loved about Ternwheel is the ability to where it helps artists adjust in real time. So as they're going on their tour, if they're seeing some of the costs that are going haywire, they can kind of adjust on the fly. And he, and I quote him, however, with Ternwheel, you set a budget and then you actually do it while you're on the road. It's settling as you're going. Maybe we should rebook these hotels for the next 5 nights and actually stay somewhere a little cheaper to make sure we're actually managing to our budget. So it's really fantastic that this has a thing where you can be on the fly because as we both know and everybody knows out here, things are constantly changing. And so if you can make those changes and adjust in real time and it gives you all the facts and figures, you can kind of see at a glance, okay, we're spending too much on these hotels. Maybe we need to move, we need to change that or, food or whatever, so it's really amazing that this has a thing where you can just adjust on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the consciousness. This is all around the consciousness of what you're spending, how you're spending it,
correct,
why you're spending it, and what you're spending it on.
Right.
So that you have an understanding of, if you're a new band or a new artist that's going out on the road, what your needs are, what your needs aren't, what works and what doesn't. Because remember, this is not a job. It's not even just a career. It's a life.
Hey, Insiders, thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We really appreciate it. To get show notes, links, and everything that was mentioned during this interview, head on over to our official website at MUBUTV.com/podcast/show notes. If you're enjoying the content and what we're doing here on the show, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts from. And don't forget to rate and review our show at iTunes. 5-star reviews are always welcome and help to ensure that our podcast stands out on the top-rated and new and noteworthy charts on iTunes and our space. You can also find us at social media at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all ending with the handle MUBUTV, which is spelled MUBUTV. Don't forget to catch our flagship show, the MUBUTV Music Business Insider video series, airing every week on YouTube at youtube.com/MUBUTV. This show was produced and created by Rich Ezra and Eric Knight. Theme music by Disciples of Babylon, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the MUBUTV Music Business Insider Podcast.